Woman, come hither and stand before my dwelling.
I come. What new schemes now, King Agamemnon?
Thou shalt hear.
I am all eagerness. 'Tis little enough sleep old age allows me, and keenly it watches over my eyes.
Birds are still at any rate, and the sea is calm. Hushed are the winds, and silence broods o'er this narrow firth.
Why art thou outside thy tent? Why so restless, my lord Agamemnon? All is yet quiet here in Aulis. The watch on the walls is not yet astir. Let us go in.
I envy thee, old woman, I, and all those who live a life secure, unknown, and unrenowned. But little I envy those in office.
Yet 'tis there we place the be-all and end-all of existence.
Aye, but that is where the danger comes, and ambition, sweet though it seems, brings sorrow with its near approach. At one time, the unsatisfied claims of heaven upset our life. At another, the numerous peevish fancies of our subjects shatter it.
I like not these sentiments in one who is a chief. It was not to enjoy all blessings that Atreus begot thee, O Agamemnon, but thou must needs experience joy and sorrow alike, mortal as thou art. Even though thou like it not, this is what the gods decree. But thou, after letting thy taper spread its light abroad, writest the letter which is still in thy hands, and then erasest the same words again, sealing and reopening the scroll, and then flinging the tablet to the ground with floods of tears, leaving nothing undone in thy aimless behavior to stamp thee mad. What troubles thee? What news is there affecting thee, my liege? Share with me thy story. To a loyal and trusty heart wilt thou be telling it. For Tyndareus sent me that day to form part of thy wife's dowry, and to wait upon the bride with loyalty.
Leda, the daughter of Thestius, had 3 children, maidens. Phoebe, Clytemnestra, my wife, and Helen. This last it was who had for wooers the foremost of the favored sons of Hellas. But terrible threats of spilling his rival's blood were uttered by each of them, should he fail to win the maid. Now, this matter filled Tyndareus, her father, with perplexity. At length, this thought occurred to him. The suitors should swear unto each other, and join right hands thereon, and pour libations with burnt sacrifice, binding themselves by this curse. Whoever should win the daughter of Tyndareus for wife, him will we assist, in case a rival takes her from his house and goes his way, robbing her husband of his rights. And we will march against that man in armed array, and raze his city to the ground. Hellene, no less than barbarian. Now, when they had once pledged their word, and old Tyndareus, with no small cleverness, had beguiled them by his shrewd device, he allowed his daughter to choose from among her suitors the one towards whom the breath of love might fondly waft her. Her choice fell on Menelaus, which she never had taken him. Anon, there came to Lacedaemon from Phrygia's folk the man who, legend says, adjudged the goddesses' dispute, in robes of gorgeous hue, ablaze with gold, in true barbaric pomp. And he, finding Menelaus gone from home, carried Helen off with him to his steading on Ida, a willing paramour. Goaded to frenzy, Menelaus flew through Hellas, invoking the ancient oath exacted by Tyndareus, and declaring the duty of helping the injured husband. Whereat, the chivalry of Hellas, brandishing their spears and donning their harness, came hither to the narrow straits of Aulis, with armaments of ships and troops, with many a horse and many a car. And they chose me to captain them all for the sake of Menelaus, since I was his brother. Would that some other had gained that distinction instead of me. But once the army was gathered and come together, still we stayed at Aulis, weather-bound. and Calchas the seer bade us in our perplexity sacrifice my own begotten child, Iphigenia, to Artemis, whose home is in this land, declaring that if we offered her, we should sail and sack the Phrygians' capital. But if we forbore, this was not for us. When I heard this, I commanded Talthybius with loud proclamation to disband the whole host, for I could never bear to slay child of mine. Whereupon Menelaus, bringing every argument to bear, persuaded me at last to face the crime. So I wrote in a folded scroll and sent to my wife, bidding her dispatch our child to me on the pretense of wedding Achilles, and the same time magnifying his exalted rank and saying that he refused to stay with the Achaeans unless a bride of our lineage should go to Phthia. Yes, this was the inducement I offered my wife, inventing as I did a sham marriage for the maiden. Of all the Achaeans, we alone knew the real truth. Calchas, Odysseus, Menelaus, and myself. But that which I then decided wrongly, I now rightly countermand again with this scroll, which thou, old woman, hast found me opening and resealing beneath the shade of night. Up now, and away with this missive to Argos, and I will tell thee by word of mouth all that is written herein, the contents of the folded scroll, for thou art loyal to my wife and house.
Say on and make it plain, that what my tongue utters may accord with what thou hast written.
Daughter of Leda, in addition to my first letter, I now send thee word not to dispatch thy daughter to Euboea's embosomed wing, to the waveless bay of Aulis. For after all, we will celebrate our child's wedding at another time.
And how will Achilles, cheated of his bride, curb the fury of his indignation against thee and thy wife?
Here also is a danger.
Tell me what thou meanest.
It is but his name, not himself, that Achilles is lending. Knowing nothing of the marriage, or of my scheming, or my professed readiness to betroth my daughter to him for a husband's embrace.
A dreadful venture thine, King Agamemnon, thou that, by promise of thy daughter's hand to the son of the goddess, wert for bringing her hither to be sacrificed for the Danai.
Woe is me. Woe. I am utterly distraught. Bewilderment comes over me. Away, hurry thy steps, yielding nothing to old age.
In haste I go, my liege.
Sit not down by woodland founts, scorn the witcheries of sleep.
Hush.
And if thou passest any place where roads diverge, cast thine eyes all round, taking heed that no mule wain pass by on rolling wheels, bearing my daughter hither to the ships of the Danas, and thou see it not.
It shall be so.
Start then from the bolted gates, and if thou meet the escort, turn them back again, and drive at full speed to the abodes of the Cyclopes.
But tell me, how shall my message find credit with thy wife or child?
Preserve the seal which thou bearest on that scroll. Away. Already the dawn is growing gray, lighting the lamp of day yonder. And the fire of the sun's 4 steeds help me in my trouble. None of mortals is prosperous or happy till the last, for none was ever born to a painless life.
To the sandy beach of seacoast Aulis, I came after a voyage through the tides of Euripides, leaving Chalcis on its narrow firth, my city which feedeth the waters of far-famed Arethusa. For our husbands tell us that fair-haired Menelaus and high-born Agamemnon are leading them to Troy on 1,000 ships, in quest of Lady Helen, whom herdsman Paris carried off from the reedy banks of Euripides, his guerdon from Aphrodite. When that, Queen of Cyprus entered beauty's lists with Hera and Pallas at the gushing fount.
Through the grove of Artemis, rich with sacrifice, I sped my course. The red blush mantling on my cheeks for maiden modesty, and my eagerness to see the soldiers' camps, the tents of the mail-clad Danae, and their gathered steeds. 2 chieftains there I saw met together in council. One was Aias, son of Oileus, the other Aias, son of Telamon, crown of glory for the men of Salamis. And I saw Protesilaus and Palamedes, sprung from the son of Poseidon, sitting there amusing themselves with intricate figures at draughts. Diomedes, too, at his favorite sport of hurling quoits, and Meriones, the war god's son, a marvel to mankind, stood at his side. Likewise I beheld the offspring of Laertes, who came from his island hills, and with him Nereus, handsomest of all Achaeans. Achilles next, that nimble runner, swift on his feet as the wind, whom Thetis bore and Chiron trained. Him I saw upon the beach racing in full armor along the shingle, straining every nerve to beat a team of 4 horses as he sped round the track on foot. And Eumulus, the grandson of Pharis, their driver, was shouting when I saw him, goading on his goodly steeds with their bits of chaste gold work. Whereof the cincture pair that bore the yoke had dappled coats picked out with white, while the trace horses on the outside facing the turning post in the course were bays with spotted fetlocks. Close beside them Peleus' son leapt on his way in all his hamness, keeping abreast the rail by the axle box.
Next I sought the countless fleet, a wonder to behold that I might fill my girlish eyes with gazing, a sweet delight. The warlike Myrmidons from Phthia held the right wing with 50 swift cruisers, upon whose sterns, right at the end, stood nereid goddesses in golden effigy. Near these were moored the Argive ships in equal numbers, o'er which Mecisteus' son, whom Teleus his grandsire reared, and Sthenelaus, son of Capaneus, were in command. Next in order, Theseus' son was stationed at the head of 60 ships from Attica, having the goddess Pallas set in a winged car drawn by steed with solid hoof. A lucky sight for mariners. Then I saw Boeotia's fleet of 50 sails, decked with ensigns. These had Cadmus at the stern, holding a golden dragon at the beak of the vessels, and earthborn Lytus was their admiral. Likewise, there were ships from Phocis, and from Locris came the son of Oileus with an equal contingent, leaving famed Thronium's citadel, and from Mycenae, the Cyclopes town, Atreus' son sent 100 well-manned galleys, his brother being with him in command, as friend with friend, that Hellas might exact on her, whom fled her home to wed a foreigner. Next I saw upon Gerenian Nestor's prows 12 from Pylos, the sign of his neighbor Alpheus, 4-footed like a bull. Moreover, there was a squadron of Aenean sail under king, and next the lord of Elis stationed near them, whom all people name Euripides. And Eurytus was lord of these. Likewise, he led the Taphian warriors with the white oar blades, the subject of Megas and Phileus, who had left the isles of Echinades, where sailors cannot land.
Lastly, Ajax ruled in Salamis was joining his right wing to the left of those near whom he was posted, closing the line with his outermost ships, 12 barks obedient to the helm, as I heard and then saw the crews. No safe return shall he obtain who bringeth his barbaric boats to grapple Ajax. There I saw the naval armament, but some things I heard at home about the gathered host, whereof I still have recollection.
Strange daring thine, Menelaus, where thou hast no right.
Stand back. Thou carriest loyalty to thy master too far.
The very reproach thou hast from me is to my credit.
Thou shalt rue it if thou meddle in matters that concern thee not.
Thou hast no right to open a letter which I was carrying.
No, nor thou to be carrying sorrow to all Hellas.
Argue that point with others, but surrender that letter to me.
I shall not let go.
Nor yet will I let loose my hold.
Why then, this staff of mine will be dabbling thy head with blood ere long.
To die in my master's cause were a noble death.
Let go, thou art too wordy for a slave.
Master, he is wronging me. He has snatched thy letter violently from my grasp, Agamemnon, and will not heed the claims of right.
How now? What means this uproar at the gates? This indecent brawling?
My tale, not hers, has the better right to be spoken.
Thou, Menelaus, what quarrel hast thou with this woman? Why art thou hailing her hence?
Look me in the face. Be that the prelude to my story.
Shall I, the son of Atreus, close my eyes from fear?
Seest thou this scroll, the bearer of a shameful message?
I see it, yes. And first of all, surrender it.
Not till I have shown its contents to all that deny.
What? Hast thou broken the seal, and dost know already what thou shouldst never have known?
Yes, I opened it, and know to thy sorrow the secret machinations of thy heart.
Where didst thou catch my servant? Ye gods, what a shameless heart thou hast!
I was awaiting thy daughter's arrival at the camp from Argos.
What right hast thou to watch my doings? Is not this of shamelessness?
My wish to do it gave the spur, for I am no slave to thee.
Infamous! Am I not to be allowed the management of my own house?
No, for thou thinkest crooked thoughts. One thing now, another formerly, something different presently.
Most exquisite refining on evil themes. A hateful thing, the tongue of cleverness.
Aye, but a mind unstable is an unjust possession, disloyal to friends. Now I am anxious to test thee, and seek thou not from rage to turn aside from the truth, nor will I on my part overstrain the case. Thou rememberest when thou wert all eagerness to captain the Danaus against Troy, making a pretense of declining, but eager for it in thy heart? How humble thou wert then, taking each man by the hand and keeping open doors for every fellow townsman who would care to enter, affording each in turn a chance to speak with thee, even though some desired it not, seeking by these methods to purchase popularity from all bidders. Then, when thou hadst secured the command, there came a change over thy manners. Thou wert no longer so cordial before the whilom friends, but hard of access, seldom to be found at home. But the man of real worth ought not to change his manners in the hour of prosperity, but should then show himself most staunch to friends when his good fortune may help them most effectually. This is the first cause I had to reprove thee, for it was here I first discovered thy villainy. And afterwards, when thou came to Aulis with all the gathered host of Hellas, thou wert of no account. No, the want of a favorable breeze filled thee with consternation at the chance dealt out by heaven. Anon the Danai began demanding that thou send the fleet away instead of vainly toiling on at Aulis. What dismay and confusion was then depicted in thy looks, to think that thou, with 1,000 ships at thy command, had not occupied the plains of Priam with thy armies. And thou would ask my counsel, what am I to do? What scheme can I devise? Where find one? To save thyself from being stripped of thy command and losing thy fair fame. Next, when Calchas bade thee to offer thy daughter in sacrifice to Artemis, declaring that the Danaus should then sail, thou wert overjoyed, and didst gladly undertake to sacrifice the maiden. And of thine own accord, never alleged compulsion. Thou art sending word to thy wife to dispatch thy daughter hither on pretense of wedding Achilles. This is the same air that heard thee say it. And after all, thou turnest around and hast been caught recasting thy letter to this effect. I will no longer be my daughter's murderer. Exactly so. Countless others have gone through this phase in their conduct of public affairs. They make an effort while in power and then retire dishonorably, sometimes owing to the senselessness of the people, sometimes deservedly, because they were too feeble of themselves to maintain their watch upon the state. For my part, I am more sorry for our unhappy Hellas, whose purpose was to read these foreigners a lesson, while now she will let them escape, and they will mock her, thanks to thee and thy daughter. May I never then appoint a man to rule my country or lead its warriors because his kinship. Ability is what the general must have, since any man with ordinary intelligence can govern a state.
For brethren to come to words and blows whenever they disagree is terrible.
I wish to rebuke thee in turn. Briefly, not lifting mine eye too high in shameless wise, but in more sober fashion, as a brother. For it is a good man's way to be considerate. Prithee, why this burst of fury, these bloodshot eyes? Who wrongs thee? What is it thou wantest? Thou art fain to win a virtuous bride. Well, I cannot supply thee, for she whom thou once hadst was ill controlled by thee. Am I, then, a man who never went astray, to suffer for thy sins? Or is it my popularity that galls thee? No, it is the longing thou hast to keep a fair wife in thy embrace, casting reason and honor to the winds. A bad man's pleasures are like himself. Am I mad if I change to wiser counsels after previously deciding amiss? Thine is the madness, rather, in wishing to recover a wicked wife, once thou hast lost her, a stroke of heaven-sent luck. Those foolish suitors swore that oath to Tyndareus in their longing to wed, but Hope was the goddess that led them on, I trow. And she it was that brought it about, rather than thou and thy mightiness. So take the field with them. They are ready for it in the folly of their hearts, for the deity is not without insight, but is able to discern where oaths have been wrongly pledged or forcibly extorted. I will not slay my children, nor shall thy interests be prospered by justice and thy vengeance for a worthless wife, while I am left wasting night and day in sorrow for what I did to one of my own flesh and blood, contrary to all law and justice. There is thy answer, plainly given, short and easy to understand, and if thou wilt not come to thy senses, then I shall do the best for myself.
This differs from thy previous declaration, but there is good in it, thy child's reprieve.
Ah me, how sad my lot. I have no friends then, after all.
Friends thou hast, if thou seekest not their destruction.
Where wilt thou find any proof that thou art sprung from the same sire as I?
Thy moderation, not thy madness, do I share by nature.
Friends should sympathize with friends in sorrow.
Climb my help by kindly service, not by paining me.
So thou hast no mind to share this trouble with Hellas?
No! Hellas is diseased like thee, according to some god's design.
Go vaunt thee then on thine own scepter after betraying thine own brother, while seek some different methods and other friends.
Agamemnon, O Lord of Hellenes, I have come to bring thee thy daughter, whom thou didst call Iphigenia, in thy home. Oh, and her mother, thy wife, Clytemnestra's with her. Oh, and the child Orestes. But they have been traveling long and far, and are now refreshing their tender feet at the waters of a fair spring. They and their horses, for we did turn these loose in the grassy meadows to browse their fill. But I have come as their forerunner to prepare thee for their reception. For the army already knows of thy daughter's arrival. Oh, how quickly did the rumor spread! And all the folk are running together to the site so that they may see thy child. For fortune favorites a worldwide fame and have all eyes fixed on them. Is it a wedding, some ask? Or what is happening? Or has King Agamemnon from far yondering summoned his daughter hither? From others thou wouldst have heard, they are preparing the maiden for Artemis, queen of Aulis. Who is the bridegroom be that is to lead her home? Well, come then, begin the rites. That is the next step, preparing the baskets. Crown your heads, thou and Prince Menelaus, with thee, let flutes resound from the tents to the beat of dancers' feet, for this is a happy day that has come for the maid.
Thou hast my thanks. Now go within. For the rest it will be well as fate proceeds. Woe is me! Unhappy wretch, what can I say? Where shall I begin? Into what cruel straits have I been plunged? Fortune has outwitted me, proving far cleverer than any cunning of mine. What an advantage humble birth possesses, for it is easy for her sons to weep and tell out all their sorrows, while to the high-born man come these same sorrows, but we have dignity throned o'er our lives and are the people's slaves. I, for instance, am ashamed to weep, nor less, poor wretch, to check my tears at the awful pass to which I am brought. Oh, what am I to tell my wife? How shall I welcome her? With what face greet her? For she too has undone me by coming uninvited in this my hour of sorrow. Yet it was but natural she should come with her daughter to prepare the bride and perform the fondest duties, where she will discover my villainy. And for this poor maid, why maid? Death, methinks, will soon make her his bride. How I pity her. Thus will she plead to me, I trow, my father, wilt thou slay me? Be such the wedding thou thyself mayst find, and whosoever is a friend to thee. While Orestes from his station near us will cry in childish accents, inarticulate, yet fraught with meaning. Alas, to what utter ruin Paris, the son of Priam, the cause of these troubles, has brought me by his union with Helen.
I pity her myself in such wise as a woman, and she a stranger may bemoan the misfortunes of royalty.
My hand, brother. Let me grasp it.
I give it. Thine is the victory, mine the sorrow.
By Pelops, our reputed grandsire, and Atreus our father, I swear to tell thee the truth from my heart, without any covert purpose, but only what I think. The sight of thee in tears made me pity thee, and in return I shed a tear for thee myself. I withdraw from my former proposals, ceasing to be a cause of fear to thee. Yea, and I place myself in thy present position, and I counsel thee, slay not thy child, nor prefer my interest to thine. For it is not just that thou should grieve while I am glad, or that thou children should die while mine still see the light of day. What is it, after all, I seek? If I am set on marriage, could I not find a bride as choice elsewhere? Was I to lose a brother, the last I should have lost, to win a Helen getting bad for good? I was mad, impetuous as a youth, till I perceived on closer view what slaying children really meant. Moreover, I am filled with compassion for the hapless maiden doomed to bleed that I may wed, when I reflect that we are kin. What has thy daughter to do with Helen? Let the armies be disbanded, and leave Aulis. Dry those streaming eyes, brother, and provoke me not to tears. Whatever concern thou hast in oracles that affect thy daughter, let it be none of mine. Into thine hands I resign my share therein. A sudden change, thou say, for my fell proposals. A natural course for me. Affection for my brother caused the change. These are the ways of a man not void of virtue, to pursue on each occasion what is best.
A generous speech worthy of Tantalus, the son of Zeus. Thou dost not shame thy ancestry.
I thank thee, Menelaus, for thy unexpected suggestion. 'Tis an honorable proposal, worthy of thee.
Sometimes love, sometimes the selfishness of their families causes a quarrel between brothers. I loathe a relationship of this kind that is bitterness to both.
'Tis useless. For circumstances compel me to carry out the murderous sacrifice of my daughter.
How so? Who will compel thee to slay thine own child?
The whole Achaean army here assembled.
Not if thou send her back to Argus.
I might do that unnoticed, but there will be another thing I cannot.
What is that? Thou must not fear the mob too much.
Calchas will tell the Argive host his oracles.
Not if he be killed ere that. An easy matter.
The whole tribe of seers is a curse with its ambition.
Yes, and good for nothing and useless when amongst.
Has the thought which is rising in my mind no terrors for thee?
How can I understand thy meaning unless thou declare it?
The son of Sisyphus knows all.
Odysseus cannot possibly hurt us.
He was ever shifty by nature, siding with the mob.
True, he is enslaved by the love of popularity, a fearful evil.
Bethink thee then, will he not arise among the Argives and tell them the oracles Calchas has delivered? Saying of me that I undertook to offer Artemis a victim, and after all am proving false. Then, when he has carried the army away with him, he will bid the Argives slay us and sacrifice the maiden. And if I escape to Argos, they will come and destroy the place, razing it to the ground, Cyclopean walls and all. That is my trouble. Oh, woe is me. To what straits heaven has brought me at this pass. Take one precaution for me, Menelaus, as thou goest through the host, that Clytemnestra learn this not, till I have taken my child and devoted her to death, that my affliction may be attended with the fewest tears. And you, ye stranger dames, keep silence.
Happy they who find the goddess come in moderate might, sharing with self-restraint in Aphrodite's gift of marriage, and enjoying calm and rest from frenzied passions. Wherein the love god, golden-haired, stretches his charmed bow with arrows twain, one aimed at happiness, the other at life's confusion. O Lady Cypress, queen of beauty, far from my bridal bower I ban the last. Be mine delight in moderation and pure desires, and may I have a share in love, but shun excess. Therein men's natures vary, and their habits differ. But true virtue is always manifest. Likewise, the training that comes of education conduces greatly to virtue, for not only is modesty wisdom, but it also has the rare grace of seeing by its better judgment what is right. Whereby glory, ever young, is shed o'er life by reputation. A great thing it is to follow in virtue's footsteps for women and their secret loves. While men, in men, again, an embalmed sense of order, shown in countless ways, adds to a city's greatness. Thou camest, O Paris, to the place where thou wert reared, to herd the kine amid the white heifers of Ida, piping in foreign strain and breathing on thy reeds the echo of the Phrygian airs Olympus played. Full-uddered cows were browsing at the spot where the verdict twixt goddess was awaiting thee, the cause of thy going to Hellas to stand before the ivory palace, kindling in love in Helen's tranced eyes, and feeling its flutter in thine own breast. Whence the find of strife brought Hellas with her chivalry and ships to the towers of Troy.
Oh, great is the bliss, the great enjoy. Behold Iphigenia, the king's royal child, and Clytemnestra, the daughter of Tyndareus. How proud their lineage, how high their pinnacle of fortune. These mighty ones whom wealth attends are very gods in the eyes of less favored folk. While we hear maidens of Chalcis lift the queen from her chariot to the ground without stumbling, supporting her gently in our arms with kind intent that the renowned daughter of Agamemnon but just arrived may feel no fear. Strangers ourselves, avoid we aught that may disturb or frighten the strangers from Argos.
I take this as a lucky omen, thy kindness and auspicious greeting, and it is with good hope I am taking the bride to a happy marriage. Take from the chariot the dowry I am bringing for my daughter, and convey it within with careful heed. My daughter, step from the horse-drawn car, planting thy delicate feet carefully. Maidens, take her in your arms. Take this child, Orestes, son of Agamemnon. Babe he still is. What? Still sleeping, little one? Awake to bless thy sister's marriage. For thee, my gallant boy, shall get by this match a kinship as gallant as thyself, the Nereides god-life offspring. Hither to thy mother, my daughter, Iphigenia, and seating thyself beside me, show my happiness to these strangers, and greet that sire thou lovest so dearly. Hail to thee, my lord, King Agamemnon. We have obeyed thy commands and are come.
Be not wroth with me, mother, if I run from thy side and throw myself on my father's breast. My father, I long to outrun others and embrace thee after this long while, for I yearn to see thy face. Be not wroth with me.
Thou mayst do so, my daughter, for of all the children I have bore, thou hast ever loved thy father best.
I see thee, father, joyfully after a long season.
And I, thy father, thee. Thy words do equal duty for both of us.
All hail, father. Thou didst well in bringing me hither to thee.
I know not how I am to say yes or no to that, my child.
How wildly thou art looking, spite of thy joy at seeing me.
A man has many cares when he is king and general too.
Be mine, all mine today. Turn not unto moody thoughts.
Why, so I am, all thine today. I have no other thought.
Then smooth thy knitted brow and bend and smile.
Lo, my child, my joy at seeing thee is even as it is.
And hast thou then the teardrops streaming from thy eyes?
Aye, for long is the absence from each other that awaits us.
I know not, dear father mine, I know not of what thou art speaking.
Thou art moving my pity all the more by speaking so sensibly.
My words shall turn to senselessness if that will cheer thee more.
Woe is me. This silence is too much. Thou hast my thanks.
Stay with thy children at home, father.
My own wish. But to my sorrow I may not humor it.
Ruin sees their warring and the woes of Menelaus.
First will that, which has been my lifelong ruin, bring ruin unto others.
How long thou art absent in the bays of Aulis?
Aye. And there is still a hindrance to my sending the army forward.
Where do men say the Phrygians live, father?
In a land where I would Paris, the son of Priam, ne'er had dwelt.
'Tis long voyage thou art bound on, father, after thou leavest me.
Thou wilt meet thy father again, my daughter.
Ah, would it were seemly that thou should take me as a fellow voyager.
Thou too hast a voyage to make, to a haven where thou wilt remember thy father.
Shall I sail thither with my mother or alone?
All alone, without father or mother.
What, hast thou found me a new home, father?
Enough of this. 'Tis not for girls to know such things.
Speed home from Troy, I pray thee, father, as soon as thou hast triumphed there.
There is a sacrifice have first to offer here.
Aye, 'tis thy duty to heed religion with aid of holy rites.
Thou wilt witness it, for thou wilt be standing near the laver.
Am I to lead the dance round the altar, father?
I count thee happier than myself, because thou knowest nothing. Go within, into the presence of maidens. After thou hast given me thy hand, and one sad kiss on the eve of thy lengthy sojourn far from thy father's side. Ah, how grievous ye have found Helen in the Phrygian city. I can no more. The tears come welling to mine eyes the moment I touch thee. Herein I must crave thy pardon, daughter of Leda, if I showed excessive grief at the thought of resigning our child to Achilles. For though we are sending her to taste of bliss, still it wrings a parent's heart when he, the father who has toiled so hard for them, commits his children to the homes of strangers.
I am not so without sense. Bethink thee, I shall go through this too, when I lead the maiden from her chamber to the sound of the wedding hymn. Therefore I chide thee not. But as for touching him, he that thou hast betrothed our daughter to, I know his name, 'tis true, but would fain learn his lineage and land of his birth.
There was one Aegina, daughter of Sopus,
Who wedded her? A god or some mortal?
Zeus, and he begat Achaeus, prince of Annone.
And which of Achaeus' sons claimed his father's halls?
Peleus, and he wedded Nereus.
With the god's blessing, or when he had taken her in spite of gods?
Zeus betrothed her, and her guardian gave consent.
And where did he wed her? Amid the billows of the sea?
In Chiron's home, at sacred Pelion's foot.
What? The abode ascribed to the race of centaurs.
It was there that the gods celebrated the wedding feast of Peleus.
Did Thetis or his father train Achilles?
Chiron brought him up, to prevent him learning the ways of the wicked.
Wise the teacher, yet still wiser the father for entrusting his son to such hands.
Such is the future husband of thy daughter.
A blameless lord indeed. But which city in Hellas is his?
He dwells on the banks of the river Apidanus, in the borders of Phthia.
Wilt thou convey our daughter thither?
He who takes her to himself will see to that.
Happiness attend the pair. What day will he wed her?
As soon as the full moon comes to give its blessing.
And hast thou already offered a sacrifice to the goddess to usher in the marriage?
I am about to do so. That is the very thing I was engaged in.
And wilt thou celebrate the marriage feast thereafter?
Yes. Once I have offered a sacrifice required by heaven of me.
But where am I to make ready the feast for the women?
Here, beside our gallant Argive ships.
Finally, here. Still I must, for all the good it does.
I will tell thee, lady, what to do. So obey me now.
Wherein? For I ever want to yield thee obedience.
Here, where the bridegroom is, will I.
And which of my duties will ye perform in the mother's absence?
Give thy child away with help of Danae.
And where will I be all the while?
Get thee back to Argos, and take care of thy unwedded daughters.
And leave my child? Who will raise her bridal torch?
I will provide the proper wedding torch.
That is not the custom. But ye think lightly of these things.
It is not good thou should be alone amongst a soldier crowd.
It is good that a mother should give away her child.
Aye, and that thy maidens at home should not be left alone.
They are in safekeeping, pent in their maiden bowers.
Obey.
Nay, by the goddess queen of Argos. Go, attend to matters of outdoors. But in the house, it is my place to decide what is right for maidens at their weddings.
Woe is me. I am disappointed in my hope, anxious as I was to get my wife out of sight. Foiled at every point, I form plots and subtle schemes against my best beloved. But I will go, in spite of all, with Calchas the seer, to inquire the goddess's good pleasure, fraught with ill luck as it is to me, and with trouble to Hellas. He who is wise should keep in his house a good and useful wife, or none at all.
The Hellenist gathered host will come in arms aboard their ships to the Samois with its silver eddies. Plain of Troy, where, beloved by Phoebus, where famed Cassandra, I am told, whene'er the gods' resistless prophecies inspire her, wildly tosses her golden tresses, wreathed with crown of verdant bay.
And on the towers of Troy and round her walls shall Trojans stand, when sea-borne troops with brazen shields row in on the shapely ships to the channels of the Samoy, eager to take Helen, the sister of that heavenly pair whom Zeus begot, from Priam, and bear her back to Hellas by toil of Achaea's shields and spears, encircling Pergamus, the Phrygians' town, with murderous war round her stone-built towers, dragging men's heads backwards to cut their throats, and sacking the citadel of Troy from roof to base, a cause of many tears to maids and Priam's wife. And Helen, the daughter of Zeus, shall weep in bitter grief, because she left her lord. Oh, never may there appear to me or to my children's children the prospect of which these wealthy Lydian dames and Phrygia's brides will have. As at their looms they hold converse, say, who will pluck this fair blossom from her ruined country, tightening his grasp on lovely tresses till the tears flow? 'Tis all through thee, the offspring of the long-necked swan. If indeed it be a true report that Leda bare thee to a winged bird when Zeus transformed himself thereto, or whether, in the pages of the poet's fables, have carried these tales to men's ears idly out of season.
Where in these tents is Achaea's generals? Which of his servants will announce to him that Achilles, the son of Peleus, is at their gates seeking him? For this delay at the Euripides is not the same for all of us. There be some, for instance, who, though still unwed, have left their houses desolate, while others married and have children. Though I have left Pharsalia and Peleus, still I linger here at the beach, with the light breezes at the Euripides restraining my myrmidons. All with ever instant in me saying, why do we tarry, Achilles? How much longer must we wait before the Count of Ilium? Do something if thou art so minded, else lead home thy men, instead of waiting for these tardy actions of these Atridae.
Hail to thee, the Nereid's child. I heard thy voice from within the tent, and therefore came forth.
Ah, modesty revered. Who can thy be, flowered with beauty's gifts?
No wonder thou knowest me not, as I am one thou hast never set eyes on before. I praise thy reverent address to modesty.
Who art thou? And wherefore art thou come to the mustering of the deny thou? A woman to a fenced camp of men?
The daughter of Leda. My name is Clytemnestra. My husband is King Agamemnon.
Ah, answered on all important points, I see, but it shall ill befit me that I should stand speaking to a woman.
Stay! Why seek to fly? Give me thy hand, a prelude to a happy marriage.
What dost thou sayest? I give thee my hand and lay a finger where I have no right? I could near meet Agamemnon's eye.
Thou hast the best of rights, as it is my child thou wilt wed, son of Peleus.
What wedding dost thou speak of? Words fail me, lady, and art thou inventing this?
All men are shy in the presence of new relations when it reminds them of their weddings.
Lady, I have never wooed daughter of thine, nor have the sons of Atreus ever mentioned marriage to me.
What can it mean? Thou turned to marvel at my words as thou wert passing strange to me.
Hazard a guess. Perhaps we are both correct in our statements.
Have I suffered such indignity? The marriage I am courting has no reality, it seems. I am ashamed.
Someone has perhaps made a mock of thee and me.
Farewell. I can no longer face thee with unfaltering eye, after being made a liar and suffering this indignity.
'Tis farewell too, I bid thee, lady. Now I shall go into these tents to seek thy husband.
Stranger of the race of Achaea, stay a while. Hold there, thee I mean, O goddess born, and thee, daughter of Leda.
Who speaks through that half-open door? What fear in her voice betrays?
A slave am I, of that I am not proud, for fortune permits it not.
Whose slave art thou? Not mine, for mine and Agamemnon's goods are separate.
I belong to this lady who stands before the tent, a gift to her from Tyndareus, her father.
Speak. If thou art so desirous, why hast thou stayed me?
Are ye really all alone here at the door?
To us alone thou reveals thyself. Come forth from the king's tent.
Oh, fortune in my own foresight, preserve whom I desire.
Delay not for the sake of touching my right hand, if there was aught thou would say to me.
Well, thou knowest my character, and my devotion to thee and thy children.
I know thou hast grown old in the service of my house.
Likewise, thou knowest it was in thy dowry that King Agamemnon received me.
Yes, thou camest with me to Argos, and hast been mine this long time past.
True, and though I bear thee all goodwill, I like not thy lord so well.
Come, come, unfold what thou hast to say.
Her father, he that begat her, is on the point of slaying thy daughter with his own hand.
What? Out with thy story, old dotard! Thou art mad!
Severing with the sword the hapless maid's white throat.
Woe is me! Is my husband happily mad?
Nay, sane. Except for where thou and thy daughter are concerned, there he is mad.
What drives him? What vengeful fiend impels him?
Oracles, at least so Calchas says, in order that the host may start.
Whither? Woe is me, and woe is thee, thy father's destined victim.
To the halls of Dardanus, that Menelaus may recover Helen.
So Helen's return was fated to affect Iphigenia.
Thou knowest all. Her father is about to offer thy child to Artemis.
But that marriage, what pretext had it for bringing me from home?
An inducement to thee, to bring thy daughter cheerfully, to wed her to Achilles.
On a deadly errand thou art come, my child, both thee and me, thy mother.
Hideous the lot of both your and fearful Agamemnon's venture.
Whence, old woman, did thou hadest this news?
I started to carry thee a letter referring to the former writing.
Forbidding or combining in urging me to bring the child to her slaughter.
Nay, forbidding, for thy lord was then in his sober senses.
If thou really had a letter, why dost thou not place it in my hand?
Menelaus snatched it from me, he who caused this trouble.
Dost thou hear this, son of Peleus?
I've been listening to the tale of thy sufferings and indignant to think I was used as a tool.
They mean to slay my child. They have tricked her with thy marriage.
Like thee, I blame thy lord. Nor do I view it with mere indifference.
No longer will I let reserve prevent my kneeling to thee, a mortal to one goddess born. Why do I affect reserve? Whose interest should I place before my child's? Oh, help me, goddess, for in my sore distress, and she that was called thy bride in vain, 'tis true, yet called she was. As for you, I wreathed her head and led her forth as if to marriage. But now it is to slaughter I am bringing her. On thee will come reproach if thou dost not help her, for though not wedded to her, thou wert the loving husband of my hapless maid at any rate. By thy beard, right hand and mother too, I do implore thee. 'Twas your name that worked my ruin, and thou art bound to stand by that. Other than your knees, I have no altar whereon to fly, and no friend stands at my side. Thou hast heard the cruel, abandoned schemes of Agamemnon, and I, a woman, am come to a camp of lawless sailor folk, bold in evil's cause, though useful when they list. Wherefore, if thou boldly stretch forth thine arm in my behalf, our safety is assured. But if thou withhold it, we are lost.
A wondrous thing is motherhood, carrying with it a potent spell, wherein all share, so that for their children's sake they will endure affliction.
My proud spirit is stirred to range aloft, but it has learned to grieve in misfortune and rejoice in high prosperity with equal moderation. These are the men who have lived all their life aright by wisdom's rules. True, there be some cases where 'tis pleasant not to be too wise, but others where some store of wisdom helps. Brought up in godly Chiron's halls myself, I learned to keep a single heart. For here and in Troy, I will show the freedom of my nature. Thee, lady, who has suffered so cruelly from thy nearest and dearest, will I, in every effort, in a young man's power set right. For never shall thy daughter, after being once called my bride, die by her father's hands. I will not lend myself to thy husband's subtle tricks, for then it shall be my name that slays thy child, not wielded with steel. For King Agamemnon is the actual cause. So am I made the poorest wretch in Argos. I, a thing of naught. No son of Peleus I, but the issue of a vengeful fiend. Never shall King Agamemnon lay a finger on thy daughter. No, not even for it to be laying a finger on her robe. It is not to secure a bride that I have spoken thus. There be maids, many a number, eager to have my love. For King Agamemnon has put an insult on me. You should have asked for my leave before using my name as a means to catch the child. For it was I who induced Clytemnestra to betroth her daughter to me. That is where the going to Ilium broke down. My sword shall soon know, if any, is to try and snatch thy daughter from me, and it shall wreak the bloody stains of slaughter. Like a god in his might, I appear to thee, and I shall show myself for all of that.
Son of Peleus, thy words are alike worthy of thee and that sea-born deity, the holy goddess.
Could I utter thy praise without excess, and still not lose the graciousness thereby stinging it? For when the good are praised, they have a feeling, as it were, of hatred for those who in their praise would exceed the mean. But I am ashamed. I'm entreating a tale of woe when my afflictions touch myself alone, and thou art not affected by troubles of mine. Still, it looks good for a man of worth to assist the unfortunate, even when he is not connected with them. Therefore pity us, for our suffering cry for pity. In the first place is this: I harbored an idle hope to have thy wed my child, and then perhaps the slaying of my child will be to thee an evil omen in thy wooing hereafter, which thou must guard thyself against. Thy words were good, both first and last, for if thou will it so, my child will be saved. Wilt have her clasp thy knees in supplement wise. 'Tis no maid's part, but if thou see it as good, why then come she shall, with the free-born look of a maid. But if I may get the same self-end without her coming, why then let her abide within, for there is dignity in her reserve. The reserve must only go as far as the case allows.
Bring not thou thy daughter out for me to see, nor let us incur the reproach of the ignorant. For an army, when gathered together without domestic duties, love the evil gossip of malicious tongues. After all, should ye supplicate me? For thou wilt attain a like result as if I'd near been supplicated. I myself am in a mighty struggle to rid thou of your troubles. But one thing be sure, which I am certain thou hast heard. I will not tell a lie. If I do, or idly mock thee, may I die. But live if I must preserve the maid.
Bless thee for ever securing the distressed.
Hearken then to me that matters may succeed.
What is thy proposal? For hear thee I must.
Let us first encourage her father to a better frame of mind.
He is something of a coward, and fears the army too much.
Still argument o'erthroweth argument.
Cold hope indeed, but tell me what I must do.
Let us entreat thy husband not to slay his children, and if he's stubborn, come to me. For if he consents to this request, my intervention need not be, for this consent also ensures thy safety. I too shall show myself into a better light to my friend.
How sensibly thou speakest. I will act as seemeth best to thee, but if I am to fail in my object, where am I to see thee again? Whither turn my wretchedest step to find thee, ready to champion my distress?
I am keeping watch to guard thee. When opportunity calls, none shall see you traversing through the hosts of the Danai with that scared look. Shame not thy father's house, for Tyndareus deserveth not to be ill spoken of, being a mighty man in Hellas.
'Tis even so. Command me. I must act as a slave to thee. If there are gods, then in your righteous doings you will find them favorable. If there are none, then what need to toil?
What wedding hymn was that, which raised its strains to the sound of Libyan flutes, to the music of dancer's lyre, and the note of the pipe of reeds?
Oh, 'twas in the day Perea's fair-tressed choir came over the slopes of Pelion to the marriage feast of Peleus, beating the ground with print of golden sandals at the banquet of the gods, and hymning in dulcet strains the praise of Thetis and the son of Aeacus. Over the Centaur's hill, down through the woods of Pelion, there was the Dardanian boy Phrygian Ganymede, whom Zeus delights to honor, drawing off the wine he mixed in the depths of golden bowls, while along the gleaming sand the 50 daughters of Nereus graced the marriage with their dancing, circling in a mazy ring. Came too the revel rout of centaurs, mounted on horses to the feast of the gods in the mixing bowl of Bacchus, leaning on fir trees with wreaths of green foliage round their heads, and loudly cried the prophet Chiron, skilled in arts, inspired by Phoebus, daughter of Nereus, thou shalt bear a son, whose name he gave a dazzling light to Thessaly. For he shall come with an army of spearmen to the far-famed land of Priam, to set it ablaze, his body cased in a suit of golden mail forged by Hephaestus, a gift from his goddess mother, even from Thetis, who bore him.
Then shed the gods a blessing on the marriage of the high-born bride, who was first of Nereus' daughters, and on the wedding of Peleus. But thee will Argives crown, wreathing the lovely tresses of thy hair, like a mountain, a dappled mountain from some rocky cave, or a heifer undefiled, and stinging with blood thy human throat. Though thou wert ne'er reared like these among the piping and staining and whistling of herdsmen, but at thy mother's side, to be decked by her one day as the bride of a son of Inachus. Where now does the face of modesty or virtue avail aught, seeing that godlessness holds sway and virtue is neglected by men and thrust behind them, lawlessness or law prevailing, and mortals no longer making common cause to keep the jealousy of gods from ever reaching them?
I have come from the tent to look out for my husband, who left its shelter long ago, while that child, my daughter, after hearing the death her father designs for her, weeps in many keys her pious lamentations. It seems I am speaking of one not too far away, for there is Agamemnon, who will soon be detected in the commission of a crime against his own child.
Daughter of Leda, 'tis lucky I have found thee outside the tent, to discuss with thee in our daughter's absence subjects not suited for the ears of maidens on the eve of marriage.
What, pray tell, is dependent on the present crisis?
Send the maiden out to join her father. For the lustral water stands there ready, and barley meal to scatter with the hand on the cleansing flame, and heifers to be slain in honor of the goddess Artemis to usher in the marriage, their black blood spouting from them.
Though fair the words thou usest, I know not how to name thy deeds in terms of praise. Come forth, my daughter. Full well thou knowest what is in thy father's mind. Bring with thee the child, Orestes, thy brother, in the folds of thy robe. Behold! She comes in obedience to thy summons. I will say the rest alike for her and me.
My child, why weepest thou, and no longer lookest cheerfully? Why art thou fixing thine eyes upon the ground, and holding thy robe before them?
Of which of my woes shall I begin? I may put them all as first or last or anywhere between.
How now? I find you all alike, confusion and alarm in every eye.
My husband, answer the questions I put forth.
There is no necessity to order me. I am willing to be questioned.
Dost thou mean to slay this child and mine?
These are heartless words, unwarranted suspicions.
Peace. Give me this answer first.
Put a fair question, and thou shalt have a fair answer.
I have no other questions. Give me no other answers.
Oh, fate revered. Oh, destiny and fortune mine.
I and mine, and this maid's too. The three are combined in one bad fortune.
Whom have I injured?
Dost ask me this question? A thought like that amounts to thoughtlessness itself.
Ruined. My secret out.
I know all. I know what thou art bent on doing to me. Thy silence and frequent groans are a confession in itself. Tire not by telling it.
Lo, I am silent. For if I tell thee a falsehood, needs must I add effrontery to misfortune.
Well then listen. For I will unfold my meaning and no longer implore dark riddles. The first place to reproach thee is with this. It was not my choice, but by force that thou didst take and wed me, after slaying Tenteleus, my former husband, and dashing my babe on the ground alive when thou hadst torn him from my breast with brutal violence. And then, when those two sons of Zeus, who were likewise my brothers, came flashing on horseback to war with thee, Tyndareus, my aged sire, did rescue thee because of thine supplement prayers, and thou hadst me to wife. Once reconciled upon this footing, thou wilt bear me witness that I have been a blameless wife to thee, and thy house, chaste in love, an honor to thy family, so that thy going in might be with joy, and thy going out with pleasure. And 'tis seldom a man gets himself a wife such as this, though the getting of a worthless woman is no rarity. Besides 3 daughters, one of which thou art heartlessly depriving me, I am the mother of this son of thine. If they ask you your reason for slaying the child, what wilt thou say? Or say it for thee, it is so Menelaus may recover Helen. A fair trade indeed to pay a wicked woman's price in children's lives. 'Tis buying what we most detest with what we hold most dear. Again, if you go forth with the host, leaving me in thine halls, and art gone long at Troy, what will my feelings be, dost think? As they behold each vacant chair, and her chamber now deserted, and sit alone in my lamentations for her. Oh, my child! He that begot thee hath slain thee, he and no one else, nor was it by another's hand. To thy halls. Just trifling pretext for me and the daughters remaining, to give ye the welcome thee deserves. I compel you by the gods. Compel me not to sin against thee, nor sin thyself. Go to. Suppose you sacrifice the maid. What prayer wilt thou utter as thou art doing so? What blessing will you invoke upon yourself as thou art slaying our child? An ill returning, maybe, seeing the disgrace that speeds thy going forth. Is it right that I should pray for any luck to attend thee? Surely we should deem the gods devoid of sense if we harbor a kindly feeling towards murderers. Wilt thou hug thy children in thy returning? Nay, thou hast the right. Will any child e'er face thee again if thou surrenders one of them to death? Has this ever entered into thy calculations, or does thy one duty consist of carrying a scepter about and marching at the head of an army? When thou might have made this fair proposal instead to the Argives, is it your wish, Achaeans, to sail forth for Phrygian shores? Well then, cast lots whose daughter is to die, for that would have been a fair course for thee to take, instead of offering your own child up for the slaughter and bringing her to the Danai. Or Menelaus, inasmuch as is his concern, should have offered Hermione for her mother. For it is I, who am still true to thee, that would lose my child, and she that went astray, who will return with her daughter and live in happiness at Sparta. If I am wrong in aught, Aaron, answer me. But if I have spoken true, do not slay thy child, who is mine too, and thou wilt be wise.
Hearken to her, Agamemnon. For to join in saving thy children's lives is surely a noble deed. None would gainsay this.
Had I the eloquence of Orpheus, my father, to move the rocks by chanted spells to follow me, or to charm by speaking whom I would, I had resorted to it. But as it is, I'll bring my tears, the only art I know for that I might attempt. And about thy knees in suppliant wise I twine my limbs, these limbs thy wife here bore. Destroy me not before my time, for sweet is to look upon the light, and force me not to visit scenes below. I was the first to call thee father. Thou the first to call me child. The first was I to sit upon thy knee and give and take the fond caress, and this is what thou wouldst say. Shall I see thee, my child, living a happy, prosperous life in a husband's home one day, in a manner worthy of myself? And I in turn would ask, as I hung about thy beard, whereto I am now clinging, how shall I see thee? Shall I be giving thee a glad reception in my halls, father, in thy old age, repaying all thy anxious care in rearing me? I remember all we said. Choose thou who hast forgotten and now would take my life. By Pelops I entreat thee, spare me. By thy father Atreus and my mother here, who suffers now a second time the pangs she felt when bearing me. What have I to do with the marriage of Paris and Helen? Why is his coming to prove my ruined father? Look upon me. One glance, one kiss bestow, that this at least I may carry to my death as a memorial of thee, though thou heedst not my pleading. Feeble ally though thou art, brother to thy loved ones, yet add thy tears to mine and entreat our father for thy sister's life. Even in babes there is a natural sense of ill. O Father, see this speechless supplication made to thee. Pity me, have mercy on my tender years. Yea, by thy beard we two fond hearts implore thy pity. The one a babe, a full-grown maid the other. By summing all my pleas in one, I will prevail in what I say. To look upon yon light is man's most cherished gift, that life below is nothingness, and whoso longs for death is mad. Better live a life of woe than die a death of glory. Ah, wretched Helen, awful the struggle that has come to the sons of Atreus and their children, thanks to thee and those marriages of thine.
While loving my own children, I yet understand what should move my pity, and what should not. I were a madman else. 'Tis terrible to bring myself to this. Nor less terrible is it to refuse, child, for I must fare the same. Ye see the vastness of yon naval host, and the numbers of bronze-clad warriors who can neither make their way to Ilium's towers, nor raise the far-famed citadel of Troy, unless I offer thee, according to the word of Calchas the seer. Some mad desire possesses the host of Hellas to sail forthwith to the land of the barbarians, and put a stop to the rape of the wives of Hellas. And they will slay my daughters in Argos, as well as you and me, if I disregard the goddess's behests. It is not Menelaus who hath enslaved me to him, child, nor have I followed any wish of his. Nay, 'tis Hellas for whom I must sacrifice thee, whether I will or no. To this necessity I bow my head, for her freedom must be preserved, as far as any help of thine, child, or mine can go. Nor should they, who are the sons of Hellas, be pillaged of their wives by barbarian robbery.
My daughter, ye stranger ladies, woe is me for this thy death. Thy father flees, surrendering thee to Hades.
Woe is me, O mother mine, for the same strain hath fallen to both of us in our fortunes. No more for me the light of day, no more the beams of the yonder sun. Woe for that snow-beat glen in Phrygia and the hills of Ida, where Priam once exposed a tender babe torn from his mother's arms to meet a deadly doom. And Paris called the child of Ida in the Phrygians' town. Would that Priam ne'er had settled him, a herdsman reared amid the herds, beside that water crystal clear, where fountains of the nymphs and meadows rich with blooming flowers, where hyacinths and rosebuds blow for goddesses together. Hither one day came Aulis and Cypris of the subtle heart, Hera too, and Hermes, messenger of Zeus. Cypris, proud of the longing she causes, Pallas of her prowess, and Hera of her royal marriage with Zeus, to decide a hateful strife about their beauty. But it is my death, maidens fraught, 'tis true, with glory to the deny that Artemis has received as an offering before they can begin that voyage to Ilium. Oh, mother, mother, oh, he that begot me to this life of sorrow has gone and left me all alone. Woe is me! A bitter, bitter sight to me was Helen, evil Helen, to me now doomed to bleed and die, slaughtered by an impious sire. Would this Aulis had never received in its havens here the sterns of those bronze-beaked ships, that fleet which was speeding them to Troy. And would that Zeus had never breathed on the Euripides a wind to stop the expedition, tempering as he doth a different breeze to different men, so that some have joy in setting sail, and sorrow some, and others hard constraint. To make some start and others stay, and others furl their sails. Full of trouble then it seems is the race of mortals. full of trouble verily, and 'tis ever fate's decree that man should find distress. Woe, woe to thee, thou child of Tyndareus, for the suffering and anguish sore that thou art causing the Danaes.
I pity thee for thy cruel fate, a fate I would thou never hadst met.
Mother that bare me, I see a throng of men approaching.
It is the Nereids, child, for which thou came forth.
Open the tent door to me, servants, that I may hide myself.
Why seek to fly, my child?
I am ashamed to face Achilles.
Wherein?
The luckless ending to our marriage causes me to feel abashed.
No time for affection in the face of what has chanced. Stay. Reserve will do no good. If only we can...
Daughter of Leda,
No, Miss
Lady of Sorrows,
No, Miss Mummer is that.
a fearful cry is heard among the Argives.
What is it? Tell me.
It concerns thy child.
An evil omen for thy words.
They say her sacrifice is necessary.
Is there none that would speak against them?
Indeed. But I was in some danger myself at the tumult.
In danger of what, kind sir?
Of being stoned.
Surely none who would dare to lay a finger on thee.
The men of Hellas, one and all.
Were not thy Myrmidon warriors with thee?
They were the first who turned against me.
Oh, my child. Surely we are lost.
They taunted me as the man whose marriage had enslaved.
And what did thou say?
I craved the life of her. I meant to wed.
Justly so.
The wife her father promised me.
I am sent from Argos.
But I was overcome with clamorous cries.
Surely this mob is a dire mischief.
But I will help thee for all of that.
Wilt thou really face them single-handed?
Do you not see these men here, carrying my arms?
Bless thee for thy kind intent.
Well, then I shall be blessed.
But are there none that would come and try to force the maid?
Aye, thousands of them, with Odysseus at their head.
The son of Sisyphus.
The very same.
Acting on his own choice or by the army's order.
By his own and theirs.
An evil choice indeed, to stain his hands with blood.
But I shall be there to stop him.
But will he not try to force the maid against her will?
By her hair, no doubt.
What am I to do when it comes to that?
Keep hold of thy daughter.
Be sure that she is not slain, for all that can do for her.
Aye, it will surely come to this.
Mother, hear me while I speak. For I see that thou art wroth with thy husband to no purpose. 'Tis hard for us to persist in impossibilities. Our thanks are due to this stranger for his ready help, but thou must also see to it that he is not reproached by the army, leaving us no better off and himself involved in trouble. Listen, Mother. Hear what thoughts have passed through my mind. I am resolved to die, and this I fain would do with honor, dismissing from me what is mean. Towards this now, Mother, turn thou thoughts, and with me weigh how well I speak. To me, the whole of mighty Hellas looks, on me the passage o'er the sea depends, on me the sack of Troy. And in my power it lies to check henceforth barbarian raids on happy Hellas, if ever in the days to come they seek to seize her daughters. When once they have atoned by death for the volition of Helen's marriage by Paris. All this deliverance will my death ensure, and my fame for setting Hellas free will be a happy one. Besides, I have no right to cling too fondly to my life, for thou didst not bear me for myself alone, but as a public blessing to all Hellas. What? Shall countless warriors armed with shields, those myriads sitting at the oar, find courage to attack the foe and die for Hellas because their fatherland is wronged? And my one life to prevent all this? What kind of justice is that? Can I find a word in answer? Now turn we to that other point. It is not right that this man here should enter the list with all Argos or be slain for a woman's sake. Better a single man see the light than 10,000 women. If Artemis is minded to take this body, am I a weak mortal to thwart the goddess? Nay, that were impossible. To Hellas I resign it, offer this sacrifice, and make an utter end of Troy. This is my enduring monument. Marriage, motherhood, and fame, all these it is to me. And it is but right, mother, that Hellenes should rule barbarians, but not barbarians Hellenes, those being slaves while these are free.
Thou playest a noble part, maiden, but sickly are the whims of fate and the goddess.
Daughter of Agamemnon, I, some god, was bent on blessing me. Could I but have won thee for my wife? In thee I reckon Hellas happy, in this that thou hast a good and noble nature in thy fatherland. Since thou hast sacrificed such a heavenly power, and I have viewed thy noble nature, I have a more fondness to have thee as my bride. Could I fain thee in my halls to witness Thetis? After all, I grieve to think I shall not save thy life by doing battle with Adonis. Reflect, I say, for a dreadful ill is death.
This I say without regard to anyone. Enough that the daughter of Tyndareus is causing wars and bloodshed by her beauty. Then be not slain thyself, sir stranger, nor seek to slay another on my account. But let me, if I can, save Hellas.
Heroic spirit, I can say no more to this, but if thou art so minded, why should one not avow the truth? So I shall speak. I shall go to the altar with these arms, not to permit thy death, but to prevent it. Never shall I let thy perish from any thoughtlessness of thine. So I shall go to the temple with these arms and await thy arrival there.
Mother, why so silent? Thine eyes wet with tears.
I have reason. Woe is me to be sad at heart.
Forbear. Make me not a coward. Here in one thing obey me.
What is it? At my hand that will never suffer injury.
Cut not off thy tresses of hair for me, nor clothe thyself in sable garb.
What is it thou hast said? Shall I, when I lose thee?
Lose me? Thou dost not. I am saved, and thou renowned as far as I can make thee.
How? Am I not to mourn thee?
By no means, for I shall have no tomb heaped o'er me.
Does not the act of dying imply a burial?
The altar of the goddess, Zeus's daughter, will be my tomb.
I will let thee persuade me. As thou speakest well.
Aye, as one who prospereth and doeth Hellas service.
Is there any message I can bring back to your sisters?
Put not mourning raiment on them either.
But is there no fond message I can bring to the maidens from thee?
Yes, my farewell words. O thou that art most dear to me, thou hast helped thy friends as thou hast means.
Is there anything I can do to pleasure thee in Argos?
Yes. Hate not my father, thy own husband.
Fearful are the trials in which he has to go through because of thee.
It was against his will. He ruined me for the sake of Hellas.
Ah, but base treachery, unworthy of his father.
Who will escort me hence, before my hair is torn?
I will go with thee.
No, not thou. Thou sayest not well.
I will, clinging to thy robes.
Be persuaded by me, mother. Stay here. For this is the better way alike for me and thee. But let one of these attendants of my father
conduct me to the meadow of Artemis, where I shall be sacrificed.
Gone from me, my child.
I, and with no chance of ever returning.
Leaving thy mother?
Yes, as thou seest undeservedly.
Hold, leave me not.
I could not let thee shed a tear. Be it yours, maidens. To him in joyous strains, Artemis, the child of Zeus, for my hard lot. Let the order for a solemn hush go forth to the Danai. Begin the sacrifice with the baskets. Let the fire blaze for the purifying meal of sprinkling. And my father, pace from left to right about the altar. For I come to bestow on Hellas safety crowned with victory. Lead me hence. Me, the destroyer of Ilium's town and the Phrygians. Give me wreaths to cast about me. Bring them hither. Here are my tresses to crown. Dance to Artemis, Queen Artemis the blessed, about her fane and altar. For by the blood of my sacrifice I will blot out the oracle if needs must be. Mother, Lady revered, for thee shall my tears be shed. For now at the holy rites I may not weep. Sing with me, maidens. Sing the praises of Artemis, whose temple faces Caucasus, where angry spearmen madly chafe. Here in the narrow havens of Aulis, because of me. Iphigenia, land of my birth, and Mycenae, my home.
Is it on Perseus' citadel thou callest? That town Cyclopean workmen build?
To be a light to Hellas didst thou rear me. And so I say not no to death.
Thou art right. No fear that fame will e'er desert thee.
Hail to thee, bright lamp of day, and light of Zeus. A different life, different lot is henceforth mine. Farewell I bid thee, light beloved.
Behold, the maiden on her way, the destroyer of Ilium's town and its Phrygians, with garlands twined about her head and drops of lustral water on her, soon to be sprinkled with her gushing blood, the altar of a murderous goddess. What time her shapely neck is severed?
For thee, fair streams of water, of fathers pouring and bustral waters are in store. For thee, Achaea's host is waiting, eager to reach the citadel of Ilium. But let us celebrate Artemis, daughter of Zeus, queen among the gods, as if upon some happy chance.
O lady revered, delighting in human sacrifice, send on its way to Phrygia's land the host of the Hellenes to Troy's abodes of guile, and grant that Agamemnon may wreath his head with deathless fame, a crown of fairest glory for the spearmen of Hellas.
Oh, come forth, Clytemnestra, daughter of Tyndareus, from thy tent to hear my news.
I heard thy voice and are come, in sad dismay and fearful dread. Not sure, but thou hast some fresh tidings for me besides the present woe.
Oh, nay. Rather, I would tell thee a story strange and marvelous about thy child.
Then delay not. Speak at once.
Dear mistress, thou shalt learn all clearly from the outset, will I tell it. As we approached the grove of Artemis, the child of Zeus, and the meadows gay with flowers. But when King Agamemnon saw the maiden on her way to the grove to be sacrificed, he gave one groan, and turning away his face, let the tears burst from his eyes, and his robe held before them. But the maiden, standing next to him, spoke on the wise. "O my father, here I am to do thy bidding. I freely offer this body of mine as a sacrifice for all of my country and all of Hellas. Lead me to the altar where I am to be sacrificed. Since this is heaven's ordinance, good luck be yours for any help that I afford, and may ye obtain the victor's gift and come again to the land of your fathers. So then let none of the Argives lay hands on me, for I will bravely yield my neck without a word." Oh, she spoke, and all the men marveled at the unflinching and brave words of the maiden. But in the midst stood Talthybius, which this his duty was, bade the host refrain from word or deed, and Calchas the seer, drawing a sharp sword from out its scabbard, and laid it in a basket of beaten gold, crowning the maiden's head the while. Then the son of Peleus, taking the basket, and with its lustral water in his hand, he ran around the altar of the goddess, uttering these words: "O Artemis, thou child of Zeus, slayer of wild beasts, that willest thy dazzling light amid the gloom, accept this sacrifice which we, the host of Achaeans, and King Agamemnon with us, offer to thee. Even pure blood from a Beautean's maiden's neck, and grant us safe sailing ships and the sack of Troy's towers by our spears." Meantime, the sons of Atreus and all the host stood looking at the ground, while the priest, offering up his nice and a prayer, was closely scanning the maiden's neck to see where he should strike. 'Twas no slight sorrow filled my heart as I stood by with a bowed head. Oh, no! A sudden miracle! Each one of us heard the sound of a blow, but none of us saw where the maiden had vanished. Loudly, the priest cried out, and all the hosts took up the cry to the sight of a marvel all unlooked for, due to some god's agency, and passing all belief, although 'twas seen. For there upon the ground lay a hind of size immense and passing fair to see, gasping out her life, with whose blood the altar of the goddess was thoroughly bedwetted. Wherein spake Calchas, thus his joy thou canst imagine: "Ye captains of this alleged Achaean host, do ye see this victim, which the goddess has set before the altar, a mountain roaming hind? This is more welcome to her by far than the maid, that she may not defile her altar by shedding noble blood. Gladly has she accepted it, and is granting us a prosperous voyage for our attack on Ilium. Wherefore take heart, sailors, each man of you, away to your ships, for today we must leave the hollow bays of Aulis and cross the Aegean main." Then, when the sacrifice was burnt to ashes in the blazing flame, he offered up a prayer, as were met, that the army might win return. But Agamemnon sends me to tell thee this, and say what heaven-sent luck is his, and how he hath secured undying throughout the length of Hellas. Now I was there myself. I speak as an eyewitness. A truce then to thy sorrowing, and cease to be wroth with thy husband. For God's ways with men are not what we expect. For today is a beauteous day, for we have seen thy daughter dead and brought to life again.
What joy to hear these tidings from the messenger! He tells thee thy child is living still among the gods.
What god has stolen you, my child? How am I to address thee? How am I to know that this is not some idle tale told to cheer me?
King Agamemnon approaches to confirm this story for thee.
Happy may we be counted, lady, as far as concerns our daughter, for she hath fellowship with gods in very sooth. But thou must take this tender babe and start for home, for the host is looking now to sail. Fare thee well. 'Tis long ere I shall greet thee on my return from Troy. May it be well with thee.
Son of Atreus, start for Phrygia's land with joy and sick return, I pray, after taking from Troy her fairest spoils.